It's been good to see you, and thanks so much for coming on. A lot of talk I want to do with you is about the border. But first, I want to get your thoughts on this meeting happening now between President Biden, Russian leader Vladimir Putin right now. You yourself serving in Congress, do you have any concerns as to what will come out of today? There's a lot of topics on the table. Nothing is off the table as it has been told. What are you hoping will come out of this meeting?
Well, good to be with you, Sean and Emma. Look, we should always be concerned about Vladimir Putin and Russia as long as this authoritarian ruler and murderous regime is in charge. I mean, the list of issues that should concern every American is long, from human rights to cyber terrorist attacks on our country and our critical infrastructure, along with supporting state sponsors of terror and enemies of the U.S. and our allies, and even terrorist organizations themselves. I'm not as concerned about the conversation or the words that will be exchanged. I'm actually more concerned with the actions of our president at home that are weakening America, weakening America's energy independence, compromising our national security, hurting our efforts to recover from this recession, spending in a way that could put us into a sovereign debt crisis, which we can't bail out of. So that's what I'm concerned about. Actually, it's not a Cold War with Russia and Vladimir Putin. It's this continued assault on American energy and energy independence.
All right, let's talk about some of those concerns as we break them down. One specifically, the border crisis. President Trump recently announcing he will be visiting the border at the invitation of your governor, Greg Abbott, there in Texas. And the former president issuing this statement saying, quote, the Biden administration inherited the strongest, safest, and most secure border in U.S. history. And in mere weeks, they turned it into the single worst border crisis in U.S. history. It's an unmitigated disaster zone, end quote. And Governor Abbott went on our own Greg Kelly show last night to even talk about it. Take a look at this and I'll get your response.
This is something that the president and I have talked about for a while now, and as he pointed out in his letter, it's something that I invited him to come down to the border to visit with the public about the border, because he set the high mark for what needs to be done on the border, with building the border wall, with the Remain in Mexico policy, with the Title 42 policy, and by sending a message that no longer could people come across the border illegally.
Congressman, your thoughts on the governor's words?
Well, I think we're long overdue for a trip to the border by a leader of our country. I don't think the open border advocate in Kamala Harris, who has the title of border czar, is going to come anytime soon. And the people along the border in Texas and other border states feel completely abandoned by their government. And they should, because our president isn't faithfully executing the laws of the land. They're not providing for a common defense. Our Article 4 says that the federal government shall guarantee to every state protection against an invasion. I've introduced a resolution. I've got other members of Congress on board, basically affirming every sovereign state's right to self-defense when the federal government abdicates their chief responsibility of securing the border and providing safety for our citizens. So I think Governor Abbott's right. He needs to he needs to use every resource and tool necessary to fill the gap and to step up, because the federal government, again, has failed the American people. And President Trump's record is unmatched by Republicans or Democrats in reducing the flow of illegal immigrants and securing the border. He made it a priority. And in Texas, you're not a leader if you don't produce results. And he produced unprecedented results. Now we're seeing, unfortunately, an unprecedented disaster, and it is unmitigated, as the President Trump said, because there's no plan to stop it. And I think that the ideological radical left is really in charge, and I don't see it abating anytime soon. So leaders along the border have to step up. They have the inherent sovereign right to do that, and that's what our resolution affirms.
In 10 seconds from you, your thoughts on the former president visiting the border and his announcement. June 30th is when he's going to do it.
I think he'll be warmly received in Texas for the work that he did to stop illegal immigration and secure the border. I think he will be received well because he made the citizens of our country and the sovereignty of America a priority. He didn't fly over the border to meet with foreign leaders and give them more money. He held foreign leaders accountable, like Mexico, with tariffs until they helped secure our border. So we welcome President Trump, and we're grateful for his real leadership to enforce laws and secure our border.
That's Congressman Jodey Arrington there of Texas. Congressman, thanks so much. We appreciate